There was a young man who had done everything right. He had studied while others slept. He had sacrificed weekends, late nights, small pleasures, all of it placed carefully on the altar of one belief, that if you work hard enough, the world will eventually meet you halfway. His name was Daniel, 21 years old, the first in his family to hold a university degree. The kind of young man that people pointed to and said, "That boy is going somewhere." And he believed them. He believed them on graduation day when his mother held his face in her hands and cried without saying a word. He believed them when he wrote his goals in a small notebook, neat, precise, full of certainty. He believed them every morning for the first 3 months after graduation, when he sent applications with the quiet confidence of someone who had earned his turn. But 9 months passed, and the world had not met him halfway. The rejections came in different shapes. Some arrived as emails, polite, cold, identical. Some arrived as silence, which was worse. And some arrived as conversations at family dinners, where relatives asked cheerful questions he no longer had cheerful answers for. He learned to smile at those dinners. He learned to say things are moving slowly in a voice that sounded like patience, but felt like surrender. Every morning he left the apartment at the same time, not because he had somewhere to be, but because he could not bear to be seen sitting still by the people who loved him. He would walk to the park, sit on the same bench, watch the city move around him like a river that had forgotten he was standing in it. He had started to ask a question, the most dangerous question a young person can ask. What if I was never meant for this? Stay with this story, because what Daniel was about to discover in the most ordinary moment, on the most ordinary morning, is something that most people who are struggling right now have never been told. And once you understand it, the way you see your own struggle will never be the same. One Tuesday morning, he noticed an old man painting in the park. Not a small painting, a large canvas, nearly as tall as the man himself, propped against a park bench, catching the early light. Daniel watched from a distance for a while. The painting looked chaotic. Messy strokes, clashing colors, shapes that didn't yet resemble anything. Behind the canvas, the real park was beautiful, green, still, golden with morning. The painting looked nothing like it. Daniel sat closer than usual that day. He wasn't sure why. After a long silence, he said, almost to himself, "Is it supposed to look like that?" The old man didn't stop painting. He didn't even turn around. He simply said, "Every painting looks like a disaster in the middle." He dipped his brush again. This is the part where most people would walk away. They look at the canvas and they think, "This is ruined. This is not working. I should start over or stop altogether." He paused.
But this stage, this exact stage that looks like a mess, this is not the end of the painting. This is where the painting is being built. He turned then and looked at Daniel for the first time. The ones who stay through the middle, they are the ones who see what the painting becomes. Then he turned back to his canvas and said nothing more. Daniel sat with those words for a long time, and something shifted inside him. Not loudly, not suddenly, the way people describe breakthroughs in films. It was quieter than that, like a window being opened in a room that had been closed too long. He had been measuring his journey the wrong way. He had been standing at 9 months and calling it failure because the result had not yet arrived. But he had never once stopped to measure what 9 months had actually made of him. He thought about it slowly. The interviews he had walked into terrified and walked out of composed. The skills he had built in silence. The rejection he had learned to absorb without collapsing. The discipline of continuing on days when continuing felt pointless. The version of himself that had existed at graduation, certain, untested,
fragile in ways he hadn't known yet. That person could not have handled what Daniel could handle now. He had been so focused on the door that hadn't opened that he had not noticed the person standing in front of it had changed completely. He was not behind. He was in the middle. And the middle is not where the story ends. The middle is where the person is made. He went home that evening and opened his notebook. Not to read the goals. He turned to a blank page, and he wrote down everything 9 months had given him. The page filled faster than he expected. He closed the notebook, and for the first time in a long time, he did not feel like someone waiting for life to begin. He felt like someone already inside it, building quietly, in the way that all real things are built. He made a small decision that night, not a dramatic one. He was not going to wait to feel ready. He was not going to wait for the door. He was going to take one step tomorrow, one real, deliberate step, and trust that the path would show itself to the person willing to keep walking. 3 months later, the door opened. But here is what matters most. By the time it did, Daniel had already stopped needing it to define him. If you are in your own middle right now, if you are in the months that feel like nothing is working, like the world has forgotten your name, like everyone else has found their place and you are still standing in an empty hallway, listen carefully. You are not failing. You are being built. Every day you stay in that hallway, you are becoming someone the door was made for. Every rejection is a brushstroke. Every difficult morning is a layer. Every moment you choose to continue instead of collapse, that is not wasted time. That is construction. The painting never looks beautiful in the middle, but the people who stay, they are the ones who see what it becomes. What if you were not at the end of your story? What if you were exactly in the middle, 5 steps from something you cannot yet see?